Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to the Pennine Way. I'm here in the north of England. I think I'm on the A689, just a little bit west of a small place called Lambley. I'm going to head just a couple of miles to Greenhead now, and then have quite an interesting day, and you'll see why when I get to where I'm going. But it's quite a nice warm day. It's the end of August, and it's a bank holiday weekend, and it's a bank holiday Monday, and remarkably it is sunny. So we'll make the best of this lovely sunshine. Well, I contemplated wearing trainers today, but I'm glad I didn't, because doing a little bit of bog hopping, and you can just see the signpost I'm following across this soaking wet ground. Nice little ruin of some kind. This looks like quite a large door. This is a more normal sized one. It's used by the sheep now. Well, according to the map, it's called High House. That's really all it says. It's not indicated as a ruin of a fortification or a tower or anything important. So it seems like it was just a barn. Okay, let's continue on to see some older ruins, which I've been excited about for quite a long time to see again. Okay, onwards that way. That's quite handy to see, so I don't go the wrong direction. Ooh, just crossing this field is quite warm. It's going to get warmer. It's not even noon yet. I've definitely picked a hot day for walking today. Luckily, I'm actually near some shade. Usually up on the Pennines there's no shade at all. They're usually very exposed. Oh, so I can't complain. Of all the times I wanted it to be warm, now it is. This is one of the bad things about the Pennine Way sometimes, is you get to the stile, and then you think, okay, where now? I think I'm going to have to get out the map and have a look. Well, it seems like I head northwestish until I reach a track, so I'm going to head in that direction. I was hoping that when I got on top of the hill it would dry out, but no, this is quite a boggy hill. Kind of strange how the water's gathered on top of it as well. Yeah, I'm looking at all this traffic and thinking, hopefully there's some sort of tunnel under the A69, because I can't see one. I'll have to wait for a break in the traffic and just go for it. Well, there's no tunnel or bridge. And the Pennine Way, I can see its sign. See where there's the people crossing the sign. Where I'm going to cross. Well, this will be fun. Well, I made it to the other side, the A69. I kind of had to do a mini sprint for it. Yeah, it was not a fun road. I had to wait a little bit to see a crossing open up. Well, I'm here where the Pennine Way crosses the road, and about to follow it up, but first I'm going to go into Greenhead and have some food because it is lunchtime. Oh, here we are in Greenhead. It's just a small little village, but Greenhead Hotel. It's a pub that's going down. Have a drink. Oh. just doing some road walking to get back to the Pennine Way. Not too far now, just a couple of minutes. Had 2 pints of Diet Coke at the pub and I downed them so fast I think I swallowed chunks of ice. Ooh, how's this? Okay, so one important piece of information is that we're now actually in Northumberland National Park. So it's good to finally be here. The second is we're also walking the Pennine Way National Trail and also a different national trail. Okay, we're just going to stop, look, listen. We have trains. Someone on a bike. So we're also following Hadrian's Wall now. And Hadrian's Wall is the remains of a wall that runs across Britain between 70 and 80 miles. Now, who is Hadrian and why did he build this wall? Well, Hadrian was an emperor of Rome, the Roman Emperor Hadrian. Now, why did he build a wall here in England? Well, that's because England, or part of it, was part of the Roman Empire, and specifically it was the northern limit of the Roman Empire, and this wall was the marked boundary of the Roman Empire. So this is Thirlwall Castle, and it was built in the early 1300s by the Thirlwall family. It was used in the war against the Scots under King Edward, and it was also used as a garrison to help against all the Scottish border raids. It was actually built out of recycled stone, and the stone it originally came from was from Hadrian's Wall. Well, I think I can get a glimpse of Hadrian's Wall up there, but I'm actually sat on the root of it right now. This used to be a wall. So way back in 55 BC, Julius Caesar was campaigning in France against the Gauls, and he landed in Britain, probably around Kent, and he did a few minor military campaigns, probably just to stop the Britons trading with the Gauls or to stop any cross-channel help. And they also installed a king who was, I'm not quite sure, a vassal, but at least more loyal to Rome than whoever was here before, which was pretty much probably no one. So that was in 55 and 54 BC, and then they left, and they didn't really come back for a long time. Now, when Caesar came to Britain, Britain was an almost mythical land. You know, this large island in the sea off mainland Europe with millions of people living on it, and it had tin and silver and gold resources. You know, some Romans didn't believe it existed, but I'm fairly sure we did. In 40 AD, nearly a century after Caesar, Caligula planned an invasion of Britain. Now, with all Caligula's stories, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because he apparently ordered his troops to attack the Channel with their swords and take back seashells as trophies for Rome. Though I always like to think as Caligula as being completely misunderstood as just a guy with a really funny sense of humour that no one else got. But he could be quite mad instead. But it was his successor, Claudius, who actually used those troops for the real purpose, which was the invasion of Britain. So in AD 43, Claudius came across with 4 legions, about 20,000 men, to reinstall a king loyal to Rome. So Claudius was triumphant. He managed to subjugate several tribes in southern England, and he went home to Roman triumph, and he left the mopping up to others. And there's wars over the years, and it seemed to stall, and it was only under Emperor Nero in 53 AD that another push came to finally quell the British. So successive governors of Rome kept pushing the frontier ever northwards, but it was under Governor Agricola that a lot of the famous stuff happened. Now, Agricola became governor, I think it was 78 AD, and he's quite famous because his son-in-law was Tacitus, who wrote quite a lot of histories on the early Roman emperors. And Agricola really pushed hard north into Caledonia, into Scotland. Agricola also started building forts. He also built forts across the country and started linking them with roads. But he was recalled to Rome in 84 AD. And then it seemed to stall again. I think it was now 40 years after the Romans had invaded, and they hadn't really got much further than the middle of England. So it wasn't a huge success for them. It seemed to be a big loss in terms of resources. They had to have legions out on this island all the time. So it was another 40 years later, so around 8 years after the Romans had invaded Britain, that Hadrian came to power, and he started on consolidating the Roman conquest throughout Europe. And he decided to build a wall across the north of England, separating the Roman conquests from what they had not conquered. Whether it was him who started building the wall, or whether he expanded upon the idea, or whether he just gave the go-ahead. What is known that he did actually visit Hadrian's Wall, and it bears his name because of that. So it was built in 122 AD, and it marked the northern limit of the Roman Empire. Though Antonius did go into Scotland and build a wall across between the Forth of Firth and the Forth of Clyde, that only lasted about 20 years before they retreated back to Hadrian's Wall, and this became, for a few centuries, the northernmost limit of the Roman Empire. You can see why they chose this particular route, Hadrian's Wall, because it does have quite a few natural rocky outcrops to help with the defence. So here is a remaining segment of Hadrian's Wall. Obviously nowhere near as big or wide as it once was. Imagine this wall stretching 70 something miles across northern England. Oh, the Roman soldier gazing out north. It must have been an unpleasant garrison. Here you are on the edge of the empire, and to the north of you, unfriendly tribes, and to the south of you, unfriendly tribes that you've conquered, and they hate you for it. So one of the reasons why the Romans didn't really push on and subjugate all of Great Britain was that the Britons were quite a restless people. There was lots of rebellions, so it was really just uneconomical for them to go any further. This was the limit. So in the 5th century, the Romans started leaving Britain, and the Roman Empire itself collapsed. The Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium, continued on until the 15th century, when Constantinople fell to the Turks. So it's quite interesting to think that we are on the fringes of such a great empire, such a large expansive empire, and this is just the outermost limit of it, one of the most worthless backwaters, and then a place that they didn't even completely conquer. And then this land went on to become one of the most expansive empires in the world's history, the British Empire. It was really interesting to think that such a afterthought province for the Romans would one day rule the waves. Though the time of the empire itself ended, as all empires do. And to those Roman soldiers stood on this wall thinking, what a terrible, cold, horrible, windy duty this is. I don't think they could possibly imagine the place that Britain would have in the world of the future. I don't think anyone could have had at that time. So it took about 12 years to build this wall on the edge of the empire. Quite good going for the Romans. It's a World Heritage Site now. You know, Britain was forced to be part of an empire, and then it in turn forced its empire on others. I don't think we built walls like this. Now, I'm not sure how much of the wall's been rebuilt or reinforced. I know it was in danger of being lost forever, like the wall in Scotland was. Because places like Thirlwall Castle, that was built out of the stones from Hadrian's Wall. Probably just a lot of farmers' dry stone wall was built out of these bricks. You see how this watchtower and the wall don't actually link together. The wall just kind of meets it and stops. That is because the watchtower was built before the wall. The wall came after. And instead of demolishing the watchtower, it was incorporated into the wall. So it doesn't quite meet up with the mile castles throughout the wall. It stood there anyway. Now the wall itself wasn't patrolled by legionaries, but the auxiliaries, the people drafted in from the provinces of Rome. So it's very likely that this wall was garrisoned by some British themselves. Probably why the barbarians kept slipping through, and there were help from the inside. Now, I overheard a family, and regardless of what the father told the son, that is not Scotland and this England. This is all England. As far as you can see right now is England. I don't know why he thinks this is the border between England and Scotland. It's not. The Hadrian's Wall is entirely within England. Scotland is out there, but it's not visible today. It goes down and then up. Oh, I'm getting tired walking along this route, never mind having to build a wall. Emperor Hadrian himself was meant to be quite fit and would walk along the hilltop saying, put the wall there, and the wall there, put a castle here, and etc, etc. This dip in the hills has a little trail going through it. You have to wonder whether this was in the Roman times, because it wasn't just a wall to keep people out. It was also, I guess, a border point to collect taxes and customs and check people going in and out. So there will be arches and gateways allowing people to move from one side of the wall to the other. Down over there on the map it's labelled as cultivation terraces, which means that they just didn't build forts here, they also did a little bit of farming as well. It's a mile castle at Caulfields. The sighting of that mile castle there just shows you how rigid the Roman system was of a mile castle every mile. It's on a slope and it's built very awkwardly. So a few metres down there's a little ditch where you could have put the mile castle, but then it wouldn't have been exactly on a mile. Pretty uncompromising in many ways. So this is one of the smaller little turrets used just for guarding the wall. Probably just housed a little fire for the auxiliaries to keep warm and cook on. So here's Shield on the Wall at Core Gap. This is where I am leaving the Pennine Way for today. I'll be back here like I always am to pick up from where I left off. So for now it's down this road.